What up YouTube, Asian Persuasion here, and I'm back with another deck profile for you guys. The Rogue King Duelist is back, you guys already know. Look at the mat, you probably have an idea what I did. I played good old Satellarknights at my locals and got 3rd place today. Yeah, I just been, I don't know, dragging, I mean the format's always stale at a point, but I always just like at the beginning of the format to bring out a deck that people don't expect. And I want to bring it to light because I want Konami to make me a Link monster for Satellarknights. Come on, guys. We got Deltros here. We got Xyz. This deck was dead until Master Rule 5 came out. Like, I couldn't Trigger Loop. Like, come on, guys. Give us a Link monster for this deck. It's missing a lot. So, but the deck wins because we play Floodgates. We play Traps. You have to win or die roll a lot, unfortunately. But that's how stun decks are nowadays. But yeah, there's Yugioh over here. We got Deneb, we got Deltaros, Altair, Vega, and good old Alsham. Good old Alsham. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the deck profile. I only lost to the guy that got 1st place. He played Invoke Shadal. So it's very hard to beat Dragoons, Makaba, those anti-meta monsters just like destroy decks like this if you don't get to go first. But let's go ahead and just get into the deck profile. We played 3 Satellarknight Yugioh. This guy is whenever, all the Satellarknights are all whenever they're summoned. Flip summon, normal summon, special summon, any kind of summon. They trigger their effect, and this guy's a Foolish Burial besides himself. So yeah, this guy's your biggest Satellarknight that you play. So 1800 Foolish Burial, normal summon. Turns on your Call to Haunted right away. But yeah, you play this to get started. 3 Yugioh. I'm probably saying these names wrong, but it's okay. And then we got 3 of the best one. This is the one that special summons 1 from the graveyard. So this guy feels it's the Yugioh feels Altair. So then Altair special summons in defense, but you're locked into Satellarknight special summons the rest of the turn. But yeah, that's okay. You're only really playing Satellarknight stuff anyway, so it's fine. But yeah, this card summons things. This card's the card you keep recycling, keep summoning things for free, keep putting pressure on your opponent. And the next best one, obviously, is Deneb. If you don't know what this one does, when it's summoned, it searches a Satellarknight monster. So you can search any of your guys except for himself, obviously. Otherwise, that'd be busted. But yeah, Deneb's one of the best openers. You always want to open this. This or Yugioh is your starters. You don't really want to open Altair or Vega. Those are the ones you don't want to see. But that's 9. And then the last 2 monsters in the deck is Satellarknight Vega. But in German, it's Vega. Where's my super reprint, Konami? What the heck? But yeah, this card's a guy that takes special summons the Satellarknight out of your hand, besides himself. So that guy can help you make Trigger the hard way with 3 Xyz materials, but you can also summon a random dude, making the level 4 Batalamias to make your free Trigger. So yeah, those are all the monsters. You don't play hand traps. We have to win the die roll. It's pretty much how you have to play this deck. You can't just play hand traps and hope that works, because it doesn't work. For spells, we play very small spells. This is all your Satellarknights. That's self-explanatory. These are more Satellarknight monsters, just in case you brick your big one, the bad ones in the beginning of the game. You can cycle it out for your better ones like Deneb or Yugioh. Because if you draw this or Vega, you can turn them to other names. And it helps you dodge things like Impermanence or Vader or something if they activate it on your summon. So yeah, this card's pretty nice. Pretty much turns into the names you're missing. And the reason why I'm even playing the deck, yeah, it went from Spellbooks to now I'm playing Prosperity and Satellarknights. So this is way better than Extrav, because Extrav was just way too risky banishing multiple Triggers, and this card lets you banish not your Triggers. Because if you don't have Trigger in your deck, you lose. That's how we win with this deck. So this helping you dig 6 cards deep to either find a monster or find the spell trap to protect the monster or have a follow-up for next turn is amazing. That rounds out the spells, so pretty much we're running a lot of trap cards, as you guys can tell. You gotta win the die roll, that's weird. The best counter trap in Satellarknights is Alpha. Wish it was searchable, but it isn't. But you just send a Satellarknight to the graveyard from your field to negate and destroy any card that was activated, and you draw a card if it was destroyed. So there you go, one of the best counter traps. Sending this like with an Xyz is amazing. So Alpha is one of your go-to cards. Next up, we got more counter traps. Because we're a back row deck. Weird, I know, right? Solemn, this is the best card in your back row deck. Next up, we have 2 more Solemns. I want to play a 3rd, but the deck's pretty tight. You can play a 3rd if you want, but man, you start playing a lot of life points when you're playing Judgment and Strike, so you're hoping to draw this before Judgment so you don't die or make it dead. Next up, we have our counter, not our counter traps, but after our counter traps, we have our continuous traps, which is why the deck is good. It's because we can play continuous traps and trigger loop them back to our hand. So the first card is obviously the best one, Imperial Order. And to complement Imperial Order for any kind of spell-heavy deck was 2 anti-skill. Yes, I call it anti-skill because it has no skill involved, forcing your opponent to play very slow pace, setting spells and ending turns. Gives this deck an extra turn, so you can trigger loop it back to your hand. So when you resolve and trigger loop with this, it's pretty much impossible for them to come back and win, because they have to keep setting their stuff and getting trigger looped, and they're losing a card every time from the trigger. The next continuous trap card that's one of the best in this deck is called the Haunted. Obviously, you're reborning Satellarknights on their turn, so you can play on your turn with them. So this is how Rongo Bongo is broken. Yeah, we don't have Wrong Gimme yet no more, but you could always get 5 monsters on the board, no problem on this deck. And this is going to look really weird, but I went old school, because I like old school cards. 3 Fiendish Chain. So, obviously this card sucks against Dragoon, just FYI. But this is like super good against everything else. So leading up to Dragoon, if they go Predaplant Anaconda, this is amazing versus it. This is amazing versus Alistair, it's amazing versus Winda, amazing versus Makaba. Like, this card, and then trigger looping it to your hand because it's a continuous that just sticks to the board. It's just insane. I know it does suck versus Dragoons. I know that. That's your worst enemy. Don't let them summon the Dragoons with a Red Eyes Fusion or you're having a hard time. Next up, we have the board clearer cards. We got triple Torrential because I don't already have monster presence half the time, and if I do get to the Xyz, they float, so it's okay. I'm not mad about torrentialing myself ever. But yeah, this helps you clear boards and simplify game states. And then to round out the deck, we have 3 more cards, and this was the MVP card. Triple Storming Mirror Force. So people don't respect Mirror Force cards anymore now in 2021. So this pretty much catches everyone off guard. Like, no one will ever read Storming Mirror Force or Mirror Force card because they don't respect it. But in this deck, I can play bad cards like this because I'm trying to slow down the game and then make them go behind in turn so I can capitalize on card advantage and beat them down eventually. But yeah, that rounds out the deck. That makes it 40 cards. MVP, Storming Mirror Force for sure. That card's insane. Next up, we have Extra Deck. The most important guy is the 2-card Trigger. Well, technically it's 3, but two Satellarknights and a card is a 2-card Trigger. Because you can make the Satellarknights turn into this, and then you have a random discard fodder to turn it into Trigger. But this is like one of your bread and butter cards. You don't have to always have 3 Xyz materials to make Trigger anymore because of this card. So yeah, this card's amazing. Ranks up into Trigger or Ductoros or Diamond. But mainly Trigger because we're Trigger looping. And speaking of the devil, the best card in the deck is triple Trigger. If you guys don't know what this guy does, when he's Xyz summoned, it literally is a giant Trune for all cards besides himself. And then his other effect is once per turn you can detach a material to rip a card out of their hand. And then his other effect is when he's sent from the field to the graveyard when it has an Xyz material, he floats and special summons from your grave or your hand. So this card is literally the gas. This card outs a Dragoon when you baited it, so because it doesn't destroy it, it just returns it. Yeah, Trigger, this is the name of the game, Trigger Loop. If you don't know how to do it, you haven't been in this game very long. The card that's up here, Deltarust, you play 2 of it because of Prosperity. I can banish 1 and not feel bad. But this card's actually really good. Once per turn, detach a material to pop a card, and then they can't respond to your normal special summons. And also, when this is sent from the field to the graveyard, when you have a material, it special summons from hand or deck. So this one's special from your deck. So if you're missing a piece, Deltarust is amazing. And an amazing card versus dark decks, we got Diamond. So during your main phase 2, you can just Xyz summon this over a Satellarknight monster, Xyz, and then your opponent can't send cards from your deck to the grave, and then they cannot, they can activate Dark Effect monsters, but you can detach material to negate and destroy Dark Effect monsters. So this card's actually pretty good in some matchup, like against like Orcus or something. Orcus like will lose to this period, but luckily this is an Orcus format, so you guys are lucky. But this is actually pretty good. Next up, we have the non-Satellarknight stuff. So we got this for game and time, because you know you gotta have options, but most of the time it gets banished off of Prosperity. Sometimes when you open Vega and a random Satellarknight, you can nuke the board, so that happens. It comes up once in a while when you're going second, because they won't let you go first, and thus they're citing a crap load of back row cards. And then obviously Zeus, because we play a bunch of Exceeds. It can come up like end phase, like you can call the Haunted something, and then battle phase, and you won't be locked to Altair's special summoning stuff, and then you can Zeus, do some cool looking things with that. And the last two cards are Links, which are just super generic, but you can choose them to be whatever you want. One Nightmare Phoenix, and then I play Borload because I hate Dragoons. Yeah, Dragoons is a problem for this deck. If you're playing a back row deck, Dragoons is literally the worst card to play against. But yeah, this helps me swarm the board, and if they don't negate anything, I can steal it. So it doesn't come up a lot, but it could come up if they don't know what's going on. For side deck, alright, I'm going back old school for you guys. We're playing 2 Thunder King in the side deck. I just wanted more monsters because this deck doesn't have too many monsters. So this is like a really good normal summon to protect, because I play like Stormy Mirror Force, Phoenix Chains, all these crazy cards that my opponent has to play through. Yeah, no, Thunder King is really good. People don't see this coming at all. 1900 body that don't let you search. And a random Dragoons out. We're playing Honest, because all my monsters are light for the most part, except for Batalomaya's. But yes, this helps you out it if you baited it somehow. So this is another Dragoon out. It's better than a Kaiju because you can't Trevor loop during a Kaiju summon because you summon something besides a Satellarknight that turn. So 1 Honest. Next up we got the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster for back row decks, of course. And because this deck can't beat Dragoons, we have to play 3 Forbidden Droplet. Amazing card. And it's actually just good against random stuff. It doesn't have to be a Dragoon deck, because you can set this and damage step, kill monsters that are too big. Next up we got 2 Rivalry. It's not like amazing in this format, it's okay, but I do lose to Tikaboo. Don't get Tikabooed in this deck. I lost the game because I got Tikabooed today. Shout out to Darren. This card's amazing because Trevor resets the game, so I can still play evenly match throughout the whole duel, because I can just keep bouncing cards back to my hand. But yeah, this card helps me blow out those back row decks. And the last card, which won me a freaking game today, which is awesome, was this card. I kind of just wanted to throw this in because I know people don't see this card coming in 2021. But 3 Royal Decree, it looks funny, but like against back row matchups like Eldic, I just want extra cards versus them that I can side. So I can have this against them and then feel really safe to Trigger Loop them on my turn, and then I can still play my traps before I end phase. They go to end phase and they set all their traps again. I can flip all my traps and then I'll have this for their turn. So yeah, this is like really good against Eldic. Royal Decree won me a game today. Pretty good. Yeah, because you gotta Trigger Loop bounce this, so you gotta reset it. So it doesn't completely, it hurts you of course, but like Trevor is an amazing card. Yeah, that's pretty much the deck, guys. 40 cards, Satellarknight in 2021. I know it looks crazy. I had to go back to my rogue roots and play this decks that I like. These are one of my favorite decks right here, Satellarknights. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. Shoutouts to the Burrow for hosting tournaments, to Rick, all the local peeps, you guys already know. Shout out to James, Sloppy Toss for winning with True Draco. That deck is broken. I wouldn't want to go against that man. He's scary. Yeah, shout out to all the peeps at Locals, and we had a really good time playing rogue decks. But yeah, we're pretty much signing out. Make sure to thumbs up for playing rogue decks. You guys know I like rogue decks. I like to play things off the wall. But yeah, we're signing out with that. Peace.